Review summary for Surrounded by Bad Bosses and Lazy Employees, or How to Deal with Idiots at Work. This is written by Thomas Erikson, published by Penguin Random House in 2021. He's the guy that's written Surrounded by Idiots, Surrounded by Psychopaths, and now he's got this one here and a few others. This book is so well worth the read. It's one of these books that you really, really need on the bookshelf to guide your leadership development. Whether you're a new leader, an experienced leader, there's loads in here to learn from. Today we've got a summary and some of the kickers, some of those things that will really just kick you in the pants. An overall summary, pulling everything together. The perspective that leaders bring about their employees. This will tell us about the impact of the leader on a team. And today you'll get some strong direction on what it takes to lead a team. Thinking beyond just a disc profile. This is the last of 3 pieces from this book. There is so much good learning here that it's well worth working over the 3 stages of learning. I have to reiterate, this book is well worth buying. Draw in it and use it as a guide to learning to lead. Because leading people is a really, really complex task. Thomas Erikson suggested we work out 4 things as we lead. These 4 things here. The disc profile of the person you are working with. Look back at Surrounded by Idiots for that summary. Or contact me and I'll help you with that. And then the second part, their driving forces, what motivates this person, their why, their values, their driving force. And then the third thing you look at is their developmental phase. Look back into the last session where we looked at the quadrants for development, strong, high will, low skill, and low will, all the combination of those. And then, of course, the fourth thing here is your leadership perspective. Are you an X leader or a Y leader? And I want to talk to you a little bit about that today. Your lens makes a huge difference. And let's jump in and have a look at this now. It is suggested that leadership perspectives fall into 2 categories, X and Y. Each is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your approach, your perspective, your philosophy, call it what you like, is seen in your leadership and felt and understood by your team without a word from you. It's in your action and your interactions. So this talks about like the whip and the carrot theory. So they've called it Leadership Theory X and Leadership Theory Y. So let's look at Leadership Theory X. This theory looks and suggests that it means leadership requires strict supervision. There's external rewards and penalties and punishment for errors and poor results. The style holds a belief that staff have an aversion to work and they try to avoid it. They try to avoid work. People must be forced, controlled, governed, told, and threatened to work. Power is with the leader. Employees lack ambition and want to avoid responsibility. Employees are in fact uncommitted. They need to be prodded, reminded, and directed. So, one idea. Theory Y is the carrot theory. Job satisfaction drives work. People can work without direct supervision. Leaders believe that people can seek out and want to take responsibility. People value communication, and through communication, this generates commitment. People can manage themselves without control and punishment. Mistakes are for reflection and for learning. These theories raise loads of questions, and Erikson continues to challenge, asking if you are a leader or a specialist. And this adds into this an X and a Y theory. And do you know the difference? Leaders achieve results through and with others, where specialists achieves results themselves. Now imagine combining theory X, the whip, with a specialist focus. You'll get an interesting combination there. He really probes and prods our thinking. It really makes leadership a prickly and uncomfortable experience. Well, thinking of it anyway. Do you create the best conditions for your staff to do their job? Or are you in fact inhibiting them? It's not the boss's job to do other people's work. You can't negotiate who is actually going to do the job. We pay people to do it. People are employed to do this work. But do you allow people to get out of work? Do you let them excuse it away? Through your leadership, are you actually enabling it? Now let's think about this when you're thinking about the people you work with and how you lead. A red leader actually says, it's faster if I do it. Yellows, I can do it. Green, I don't want to bother you. And blue, well, at least I'll get it right. Now, all of that thinking creates actually an ineffective team and inhibits your leadership. So he offers you a couple of strategies. A key strategy or two. Have you thought about, before you answer when someone has one of those requests, counting to 3? A pause may actually prompt the employee to solve the problem themselves. 1, 2, 3. Ask the question to the person, well, if I wasn't here, what would you do? And maybe they can solve it again. Check in on your leadership and your reactions. If you aren't focusing on developing your leadership and if you are spending your time rescuing the staff, you may experience consequences like this. Ad hoc decisions and a feeling of constant firefighting. You may become the universal problem solver. People start to use your brain and not their own. You'll be extremely busy and active, but not especially proactive or effective. Your staff will become totally dependent on you, and you'll paralyse their ability to decide. And you'll not have time for genius and innovation thinking. The goal is, in fact, to make yourself superfluous. Can you do that? So let's look at some of those final words and some of those kickers for us to really help us reflect on as leaders, to really reflect on our leadership. He's got some great ones here for us. Everyone wants clarity, communication, to be heard, respected with understanding relationships. If you give your staff what they need to do their jobs, they'll have a better chance. It is the boss's responsibility to pave the way. It begins with understanding. The best way to make sure you do a good job at all is to begin with yourself. Analyse yourself, know yourself, and then start to analyse your team. The best thing you can do as a leader is to continue to develop. Many bosses do their best, but without the right tools, it's actually difficult to build a house, no matter how enthusiastic you are. Take some time and learn about leadership. Good bosses solve motivation. Bad bosses don't. Go back to Chris Argyris. Teaching smart people how to learn. Different people embrace the same change for different reasons. Know your team's why. Know what pushes them. Know what motivates them. What is their driving force? As a team and as an individual, everyone has a why. Start with understanding your own. Why did you become a boss? Driving forces are motivational factors. They change. They are situational and they can vary over time. Go back into the book, jump in at pages 358 to 367. Understand the drivers that your team bring. Mediocre leaders seize every chance to blame others, to blame away setbacks and to blame people for what they in fact should be owning. Good leadership means that you take responsibility for what has happened when necessary. You let others take the credit for what has gone well when they deserve that credit. You are dealing with people. No matter how difficult, they deserve your best. Leadership training is important, but even without it, it doesn't require any training to not be a jerk. Hang on to that one. Employees aren't actually lazy. It starts with the boss. How do you lead? What are you aware of? Who do you listen to? Who do you pay attention to? Do you read and understand people? What are you projecting? How do you lead? Ultimately, employees and employers have to speak up when things aren't going well. Start with an I need statement. They may listen. Hey, but there's no guarantees. Jump back to the energy bus. Finally, people quit to leave their boss, not their job. And employees are now choosing their bosses at interviews, not just you choosing them. How do you